We're continuing on with section 1-2, talking about midpoints. The midpoint M of line segment AB is the point that bisects or divides the segment into two congruent segments. The word bisect you will see quite a bit in this book. If you break it down, bi means two, bicycle is two-wheeled, biped is 2 feet. So a bisects means you're taking a segment and breaking it into two equal sections, bisect. If M is the midpoint of line segment AB, then the section AM has the same measurement as section MB. So I'll draw a picture of that so we can kind of get a visual. Here's my line segment AB. I put a midpoint here, M. The section from A to M has the same measurement as from M to B. It's right smack dab in the middle. One place you might see this is on a ruler. My ruler here is 8 inches long. The midpoint would be right in the middle at 4. This side of the ruler, starting at 0, has a measurement of 4 inches. The side starting at 4 has a measurement of 4 inches. 4 and 4, same measurement. So we're going to use that idea. Take a look at this question. C is the midpoint of E and F. If EF equals 8, what is EC? Take a second, pause, see if you can get the answer. All right. So if EF, the entire length of this line segment, is 8, and we know that C is the midpoint, it bisects segment EF, it goes right in the middle, so halfway would be 4 and 4. They would have to be equal, and they would still have to add up to 8. So that's the whole idea of this midpoint thing. We're going to make it a little more complicated in a second, but I wanted you to see the basic idea, that it goes right in the middle, and they're equal. Take a look at this one. D is the midpoint of line segment EF. ED is equal to 4x plus 6, and DF is equal to 7x minus 9. Find the length of ED, the length of DF, and the length of EF. So it's a little tricky, so go ahead and pause it, take a minute, see what you can do. Let's see how you did. So if I know that D is the midpoint, it's right in the middle, it bisects that line segment, I know that ED, right here, is equal, has the same measurement as DF. So I'm just going to take ED, which is 4x plus 6, and I'm going to set it equal to 7x minus 9 because they're equal. They're right in the middle, same measurement. Now it's algebra. Now I can solve for x. So we get all my x's onto one side. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. We get that 6 equals 3x minus 9. Get all my non-x's on one side. Add 9 to both sides. To get that 3x equals 15. And then to get x all by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Doing the inverse operation, the opposite of multiplication is division. And leaves me with x equals 5. Now, sadly, that's not the answer. The question was not find x. The question is how long is ED, how long is ED, DF, and EF? So we're going to take this information that we got here from our algebra. I'm just going to give myself a little bit more room, move this out of the way. I'm going to take this information about x, I'm going to plug it in. So if I want to find ED, I'm going to do 4 times x, and x is 5, plus 6. So we got 4 times 5 is 20. 26 is how long ED is. So there's one answer. They asked us to find df. Now we could plug 5 in for x and solve again, or we could recognize that since ED and DF are the same length, if ED is 26, DF also has to be 26 because they're the same length. Didn't even have to do any multiplication or subtraction or anything. Just plug it in. If ED is 26 and DF is 26, the whole way across from E all the way to F has got to be 52. We're just going to add those two pieces together, and that'll give me the length of EF. There's all three answers for that problem. A lot of work, but we're applying those algebra skills to find new information dealing with midpoints. All right, one last problem here. Line segment LH bisects line segment GK at M. So remember, if it bisects, it goes right down the middle. GM equals 2x plus 6, and GK equals 24. Find x. So take a minute, pause, see what you can do. All right, so when we're looking at this, the first thing I would do is notice that since LH goes right down the middle of GK, bisects that line segment. Since GK is 24, GM, halfway, has to be 12. Same thing from M to K. M to K has to be 12 because it goes right down the middle, and GK is 24. Now I'm going to do something a little bit fancy here. I'm going to write down GM equals GM. That section of the line, that line segment GM, has to be equal to itself because 12 equals 12. Okay, I hope you can follow me on that part at least. That GM equals itself. GM equals GM. Now, the reason I'm doing this is we know two things about GM. We know that GM equals 12, but we also know that GM equals 2x plus 6. GM has two things that we know about. So now I have an equation. I have that 12 equals 2x plus 6. Now I can solve for x. We needed both those parts, that GM equals 12 and GM equals 2x plus 6, so we could combine them and be able to solve for x. So now it's algebra. We're subtracting 6 from both sides to get x all by itself. I'm left with 2x equals 6. And then the last step, I have to do the inverse operation. I have to divide both sides by 2. And the final answer, x equals 3. Again, in this question, all they asked you to do was find x. So you don't have to plug that into anything else. You're done. X equals 3. I believe that's all I have for you for this section, and we'll see you in a little while.